Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Hi, I'm the Reverend Jeff Huell, an Episcopal priest in the Diocese of Maryland in the United States of America. And through the Episcopal Volunteer and Mission Program of the Episcopal Church, I am involved with a wonderful ministry in the nation of Turkey called Knitting for Hope. We really began this work, my friend Hakan Gülerce and I, way back in 2014 when we met in Istanbul, Turkey, as I was a Midler seminarian at the Virginia Theological Seminary, and Hakan was the manager of a small religious organization, the Istanbul Foundation for Science and Culture. My friend had been invited to come to my seminary to do a one-year diploma in Christian studies, and he and I became best friends. Following our graduation, we agreed to work on a project together way back in 2016 in Istanbul, seeking to highlight the Syrian refugee crisis there. But we encountered difficulties later in 2016, such that we ceased operations and we pretty much lost contact with each other for 3 years. When we reconnected in 2019 through social media, my friend had moved from Istanbul to the other side of Turkey. He had moved to a city called Şanlıurfa. The government of the nation of Turkey is doing everything they can in terms of supporting the refugees that they have taken in, but they are supporting 3.6 million Syrian refugees, and so they are obviously strained. And I asked my friend, how can we help? How can my community, All Hallows Parish in Davidsonville, Maryland, help the Syrian refugees with which my friend was working? My friend said, first and foremost, we need wheelchairs. And so my community raised money and we bought wheelchairs. I asked my friend next, what do you need? He said, we need educational materials. We had another fund drive and we bought educational materials. At the end of the year, a kind parishioner approached me wishing to donate some appreciated stock he had invested to the parish, and he told me to put all of it into Syrian refugee work. And it turned out to be a great deal of money, and I'm forever grateful to this individual. So at the beginning of 2020, we were hindered somewhat by the COVID-19 crisis. We began a variety of in-house programs, long-term assistance for families with special needs, which were beyond what could be covered by governmental assistance. One of the projects that grew out of this was the idea of Knitting for Hope. Knitting for Hope began back during the COVID-19 crisis, and the idea was to bring Syrian refugee widows together, teach them a craft that they could use to supplement their income, and bring them together such that they could visit with each other, talk to one another, share their stories with each other. I think they would say that they have healed or are healing together.
Neden ya? Daha çok yani şöyle bir terapi gibi geliyor zaten. Ben kendi şahsıma söyleyeyim. Bana bir terapi gibi geliyor. Ben rahatlıyorum, mutlu oluyorum. Aynı zamanda çalışıyorum zaten. Hani en azından yarım gün çalışıyorum. Yarım gün böyle el işiyle falan uğraşıyorum. Yani maddi manevi bana çok iyi geliyor. Yani maddi olarak fazla bir getirisi yoksa bile manevi olarak bana çok iyi geliyor.
They knit amigurumi products. They make dolls and laptop bags and purses and all sorts of things, which we then sell both locally and internationally. And all of the money goes back to the knitters. A small portion of it is kept to collectively purchase the yarn and the other supplies that are needed. But by and large, this organization gives all the money back to its participants. It is a democratically run organization. The women determine the direction that the association goes, and they are able to work from home. Many of them are afraid to leave. They come with such trauma from Syria that they are afraid to leave the house. We see this as a direct fulfillment in its own small way of the UN Sustainable Development Goal of empowering women, and also the goal of protecting children, because without the availability of childcare, it's unknown what would happen to these children during the day if their mothers had to go work outside of the home in what's available. Most likely they would either be working in their athletic shoe factories in Urfa, or they would be working in agriculture, but it is doubtful that they would have the quality of life that they are able to enjoy as a result of their involvement with Knitting for Hope. In 2024, the Office of Global Partnerships of the Episcopal Church sent the Reverend Katie Kirk with me on one of my visits to Turkey to check on the ongoing work there. During our visit, Katie was introduced to the women of Knitting for Hope. The women sat down with Katie and told us their stories.
Depremde evim yakıldı ama amigurumu yaparak bütün stresimi atıyorum. Kafam dağılıyor, bir psikolojik destek gibi oluyor bana. Hem bütçem güzel, çocuklarıma harcıyorum, evime katkıda bulunuyorum.
During the trip, the women of Knitting for Hope presented us with two special things to bring back with us. One was an amigurumi doll, which was a likeness of Presiding Bishop Michael Curry, and the other were Episcopal shields handmade by the women to be distributed to official international visitors at the General Convention. While the Global Partnerships representative was with us, we were able to travel one day to Adıyaman, which was one of the 4 principal cities that was destroyed by the February 2023 Kahramanmaraş earthquake. Knitting for Hope is working in Adıyaman, now working with internally displaced refugees, widows of the 2023 earthquake, who are in a similar state to the Syrian refugee widows who work with Knitting for Hope. In one of the container camps in Adıyaman, we have founded a new community of Knitting for Hope, and we are going there with our Syrian refugee women who are now teaching Turkish refugee women how to knit, how to have a way forward, and how to heal together. I want to invite you, the viewer, if you would like to learn more or if you would like to become a volunteer in mission, reach out to the Office of Global Partnerships of the Episcopal Church. Also, I would ask you, if you would, to pray for our work. As we say in Turkey, God will continue us as God sees fit, inshallah.